My love, as we fade into the sapphire sky, never lost right by your side. I can be your satellite.
Baby, come to me, 'cause you know that I need ya. Bring my heart again, you know I couldn't leave ya. Take me into your hands, break my heart again, yeah, again. Oh baby, let me be your lover, let me be your eyes. You know that I'm not always sober, but I can fix that for you tonight. I will be fine for you forever, yeah. Got me in a whole trance. Got me without hope. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for. Baby, come to me, 'cause you know that I need ya. Bring my heart again, you know I couldn't leave ya. Take me into your hands, break my heart again, yeah, again. Oh baby, let me be your lover, let me be your eyes. You know that I'm not always sober, but I can fix that for you tonight. I will be fine for you forever, yeah. Falling for love. Got me in a whole trance. Got me without hope. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for love. I'm falling for.
We are live, man. We are live.
Let's see live. There it is.
A couple seconds delayed. All right, full disclosure, guys. Just want to reach out. If you guys are watching this live, you're watching the recorded version of this podcast. This is going to be completely unedited. You might run into us messing up where we repeat stuff. We don't go back and edit the actual video. We just really worry about the audio for the podcast. If you want to hear a cleaned up version, please feel free to visit podcast.agamingmoment.com. You'll hear the clean edited version of the podcast episode as it comes to be. With that being said, we do present some visuals for the visual portion of the podcast. We're going to be sharing a couple videos today. But thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for watching the video. We really appreciate the support. Please be sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Really helps us out. And also, we'd really love it if you'd like and subscribe to our podcast as well. Available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. That's Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it. We're there.
Or by going to podcast.agamingmoment.com.
Yeah, or just visiting that directly. If you want to find out more about us, you can visit agamingmoment.com. We have all of our bios over there on the website as well. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go to merch.agamingmoment.com, pick up one of these nifty hats or one of those awesome visors that Wild's wearing. I got one in my bedroom right now. Or, if you don't feel like buying anything, you can become a Patreon to our lovely podcast as well by visiting patreon.agamingmoment.com as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to run the intro and we're going to do the podcast like we normally do. That was your disclaimer before we actually start recording the actual podcast. So again, thank you for hanging out. Hope you enjoy the content. Please feel free to comment. We love comments. We love engaging with our audience. And you can also hit us up on social medias, on all the major social media accounts at A Gaming Moment, all one word. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to do the old countdown. So 3.
Okay.
What's up, gang geeks and tech junkies? Welcome to A Gaming Moment, a weekly podcast about everything gaming and streaming related, including the news, tech, and software behind it. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram so you can engage with us, as well as find out when we're streaming the podcast and get a first listen before it goes out across all of your favorite podcasting platforms. I'm Dagan07, and with me is Wild Twins fan. How you doing this week, Wildy?
Good. Just back to old times. Just got Dagon and I tonight. No co-host tonight. Like I said, we're going to mix those guys in kind of as necessary and as availability comes in. But we're still sticking with the same old. And we're going to go with a couple topics this week. We have G3 canceled really forever. And the other big topic, and we've covered this a little bit, there's almost a little bit of a follow-up or a continuing story, is AI and FPS gaming and kind of some of the consequences and positives that are coming out of that. We also have some banter items this week. We're going to cover the future of Fortnite. Kind of exciting little story there. Even if you're not a big Fortnite fan. We're also going to cover Steam and Windows. Take-Two mobile acquisition of Game Club and maybe what that means a little bit. The FBI is buying your info. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about Disney's doomed metaverse and what may or may not lead into that. And we're also going to follow up with a story about Elon tapping directly into your brain.
Sounds like some, yeah, I got it. Sounds like some really good topics, Wild. Guys, let me just preface this with, if you want to learn more about any of these topics that we talk about in our podcast, we are starting to put out blogs on each topic that we go over. So it goes into a little bit more depth in case you're needing just that little extra on particular topics from the podcast episode. Be sure to keep up with those throughout the week. They kind of release kind of throughout the week. So that's kind of our plan, is to release individual blogs on individual topics throughout the week after the podcast is released. So if there's a specific topic that you want to learn more about, be patient. We're probably going to have a blog about it within the week.
Or tweet us or hit us up on social media and let us know if you want to hear more. You know, we try to keep the podcast manageable. We try not to beat you guys up over one subject. So we kind of just put the info out there. We can always go more in depth if you guys want, or if you guys want to drop in and chat with us on our Discord, you can do that too. So let's
Yeah.
drop into E3 is canceled now and probably forever because after 3 years, you can probably stick a fork in it. So, talking
Yeah.
a little bit about that big story this week.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing wild is all the big names kind of pulled out of it. Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox said they weren't gonna be doing E3, and that's like 90% of the showcase right there. I mean, like
Yeah,
Discord. I mean, Steam's not gonna go there.
yeah, and then I think a lot of people cited that Jeff Knightley, who's kind of always run the E3, is talking a little bit about like he was kind of the spirit of that event for a lot of people, and him kind of backing out of that and creating his own event, kind of just being another nail in the coffin. So, a little bit about that. Nintendo had their Nintendo Direct. We've already had that this year. That kind of showcases their Nintendo stuff, and they don't have to share it with anyone else. So it's kind of it's more beneficial, I think, maybe to some of these companies and the way they've been doing it now since post pandemic, we'll call it. It's not really indicative of people wanting to go ahead and do this big. I'm sure there's a big cash layout for them to go to these events and to put
Oh
on
man, the travel
the
and everything.
show and yeah, and I'm sure they got these stages and these high end displays that got to change every year, and
The
there's got to be
booths,
a
yeah.
massive amount of money spent on these events, and I can't imagine the amount of savings that they have with probably the same exposure, or if not, maybe even better exposure. So, you got Nintendo Direct. You're gonna have Sony State of Play, and that's kind of Sony's event, and they did that. I think
Back in
both
February.
Nintendo and Sony both did it February, and Xbox, of course, has their Xbox Game Showcase, and that one is going to come a few days right after the Summer Game Fest, which is now hosted by Jeff Knightley. So I think part of what happened here with E3, and you're kind of hearing rumblings, and people are trying to be professional about it, but I think a lot of people feel that E3 was mismanaged, and then when you lose your headlining speaker, Jeff Knightley, and he creates his own event, it's a hard sell to keep people coming back to your event after you kind of burned the bridge. So
Yeah, and I think the big thing is the money thing. Like, obviously, we have Nintendo Direct and Sony State of Play, and post pandemic, a lot of companies have been tightening their belt around major events that they want to go to or attend. Then there's the sponsorships for the event to get big spaces within the conference arenas that they're renting out, plus all the marketing around it. Like, I can tell you from experience from the companies that I've worked for, like, there's a lot of marketing budget that goes into like these major events. Like,
yeah, for sure.
me working in the cybersecurity industry, there's like four or five big events that we absolutely don't miss, which is one is called RSA, another one's called the AWS. Oh my, I can't. There's like two AWS ones that are out there, and RSA I think the biggest one that's out there. But the I can tell you, like, the amount of money that we spend on marketing for like physical advertisement, like renting billboards, and we've done stuff in New York to get on one of the big light boards in the middle of Times Square. Like, that's a lot of money. And
Yep.
newsflash, we've gone over it a couple times in the podcast. There's a lot of big tech companies laying people off. We just talked about Meta laying off 10,000 people and pretty much killing a division and killing the metaverse, so to speak. They're not investing so much in metaverse as much as they are AI now. You have Google cutting back a lot from the YouTube sector. Like, and this will probably be a topic for another episode of the podcast, but they're releasing quite a few people from the streaming side of YouTube. Like the streaming side of YouTube has actually come to a grinding halt. They haven't really released any new things. They're more focused on like Google Bard, which is the Chat GPT editor, if you will. But as it comes to E3, like there just wasn't, when you lose those three big players, there's just not enough there to sustain it. You're not going to get a bunch of indie people coming in spending the kind of bucks that Nintendo, Sony, or Xbox is going to come and spend, and it's not going to draw the crowd that Nintendo. It's not going to draw the.
It doesn't have the audience.
Yeah, it doesn't have the audience. So, Reed Pop, the company behind the event, did express its regret at not being able to Reed Pop, the company behind the event, did express its regret at not being able to put on the showcase that participants deserve. And the cancellation of E3 2023 marks the second year in a row that the event has been canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic and industry shifts towards digital events. So more people are really trying to go the digital route because there is that lack of expenses. You don't have to pay for people to go to travel. You don't have to pay for the hotels. You don't have to pay for transportation, all that stuff. So this could be kind of the trend moving forward. We'll have to see how the summer what'd you call it, Wild? It was Summer Game Fest or something like that?
Summer Game Fest, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to have to see how the Summer Game Fest goes. Jeff Keighley is really big in the gaming space. So, he's got the third year of the. Go ahead.
It's already the third year of Summer Game Fest, so it's just poised to take over the position to get some of those players, and you can already look at a lot of the partners from last year. You got 2K, you got Activision, Bandai Namco, Capcom, just EA, Epic Games, all the big players, Netflix, Sega, Niantic, Steam, Warner Brothers, PlayStation, Xbox, so that's their show from last year. So I think, it's so long and the industry has moved on, and that's what's going to be. So,
and it's kind of an end of an era, though. I mean, we've had E3 for what, 25 years, I think, and then it's just like kaputsk. It feels really weird. But, as the gaming industry continues to grow and evolve, it'll be interesting to see how major industry players adapt and create new ways to engage with their audience in a post-pandemic world. Like, these digital events, I don't like the digital events. I think it's like, would you rather, like, if you're watching sports, would you rather watch it from your couch, or would you rather be there in the stadium, feeling the energy?
I don't get to go anyways. I don't really care, honestly. I mean, I think it's wasteful. I'd like to see more online events and then have them do more. Maybe they should incentivize the viewers more, or something like that. They always hand out all the swag at these events. I never get any swag because I don't get to go to any of these events. So maybe they should be Twitchifying it, and having raffles and all that stuff. And I think there's a lot of things they can do to build a lot more viewership from the people that are actually going to buy the games, because all the people there are just people in the industry. So I don't know.
Let me pose this question to you, Wild.
Yeah.
Let me pose this question to you, Wild. Would you pay $100 to register for an event, knowing that you were going to get like maybe a T-shirt or a hoodie or a like a hat or a visor? We all know that you're a big fan of visors. So would you pay $100 for a 1-day event to watch online if you knew that you were going to get a visor?
I wouldn't do it for the swag myself. I do it because I feel like I'd want to be there and be part of it. Like, that, to me, that's the part that the swag is just a show off later. So, if I wanted to be at the event, I would pay for it, and the rest of it's more or less irrelevant. But
I do think if they moved to more of a more digital, like webinar style or digital event style, and they charged a reasonable price. I think $100 is a reasonable price for like a day event. Um, I think they would make more money doing that because you can only fit so many people in a venue. Companies, people aren't going to want to spend $300 for a conference pass plus, you know, like $350 a night for a hotel, plus $700 for a round trip airplane flight. You know, by the time you're all in at a physical event, you're almost $2,000 into a physical event, and
Yeah.
that really limits people. But if you're charging $100 for a single day pass for a digital event, now you've opened that up for literally millions of people. So I think it could be more lucrative for them if they went that route.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if these events are ever money making events, anyways. So I don't know if that's really a concern, but it's more about getting the exposure and what you would pay for that exposure otherwise.
Well, speaking of exposure and paying for exposure, wow, did you know that AI is kind of taking over FPS gaming as far as like anti cheat? Because we all know how prevalent cheating is in first person shooters.
Yeah, I think it's eye opening, and there's been a lot of different segments covering cheating lately, and some of the tactics and methods. I'm sorry, are you getting a ton of noise from me?
I hear like a tap in the background every once in a while. Nothing bad.
All right, I've kind of lost my spot, so I don't know if we want to just.
All right.
I don't know.
So speaking of exposure and stuff, I could have kept going. So speaking of exposure and stuff, Wild, AI is really prevalent in the industry right now, like Google Bard, Chat GPT, but it's really starting to pick up pace in the first person shooter world right now because we know how many cheaters or how many suspected cheaters there are. I mean, we've talked about Nadia, how many
Yep.
suspected hackers are out there, and they're starting to come out with AI anti cheats, and there's some really interesting stuff coming out. Wild.
Yeah. So about a year ago, I started following a guy, and his name's his YouTube handle is basically homeless on YouTube, and I followed him a year ago because he came out and said, "I promise you, we're gonna figure out a way to identify cheaters," and talking about finding a signature or whatever it is that they could do, and they were talking about using AI to do it. And it's now been a year, and I haven't really heard peep. I haven't followed their whole team, but I've just been following him. And he dropped an amazing video the other day. And there's a couple other videos that have kind of spurred this on a little bit. We've talked in the past about Call of Shame and their channel. Now, Call of Shame has been, they have another person that has been spectating streamers and with their cheats turned on, and they're not like influencing the gameplay. They're basically dying and then spectating, um, streamers and such that people have called sus, and then they're just posting the information online. They're not passing judgment. They're posting raw video with hacks overlaid over it, so you can see walls and stuff like that, and where people are, and what you would see if you were cheating. And they're letting the community decide if they think that that streamer is using that same info that they're maybe getting from the cheat. And so there's been that. We also had a big video that Linus Tech Tips spoke to, and Luke, and they talked about the Tarkov cheating. And there's a YouTube channel, the Goat. It's G0AT, and talking about the cheating scandal in Tarkov, and Tarkov is still, beta testing or whatever the heck they're at. They're not a full release yet, and they don't really have anti-cheat or much of anything in the world of anti-cheat. And this guy downloaded cheats and went into the game, and again, wasn't influencing gameplay, wasn't looting, wasn't shooting, wasn't killing, just observing people. And the amount of cheaters he found were outstanding. So we got a clip now dropping from basically Homeless's YouTube video. We'll link this YouTube video for you guys. Uh, if you're interested in cheating or solving the problem or what's going on in the world of technology or AI and gaming, this is an amazing video. It's got really promising things. It's got some scary things in it. So let's hit that clip, Dave.
1 out of every 3 players in an online FPS game are cheating.
He's wiggling. Look.
Connects to your PS5. It's literally just connecting to the remote play.
And then in other games, it's way more than that.
What does this revelation mean for the future of gaming in general?
So it's an AI aimbot?
Yeah, AI and
Works in
bot.
any game.
They sell these by the millions.
And it's not just your little brother either. At every level of the industry, from pros to streamers, cheating is rampant.
And it will become a real job to cheat in his game.
It's a full-fledged business.
Are you getting old?
Yeah.
Is gaming changing? Or is it that rampant cheating is not fun?
Over a year ago, we set out to use AI with one goal in mind: saving FPS games.
We're ready for you to submit your clips to help train our model. What you're about to witness in this video is the solution to cheating in online gaming.
So it's pretty interesting the level of technology, and right now this is an open source software because they are trying to train their model right now. And if you guys don't know anything about AI, AI has to be trained. It bases its predictions and everything based off of past algorithms and past experiences that have happened. And if you run into people that are cheating, please help the community and just submit the clips. You're already clipping it to show people that people are cheating anyway. I mean, Wild, I can't tell you how many times I've gone on TikTok and I've seen live TikTok streaming, and there's people on there blatantly cheating, like day 468 of running hacks on Call of Duty until I get banned. And you see the little green boxes. You can see the body outlines, the hitbox outlines, and everything. It's really annoying, and it's really aggravating to see that, like, the kind of arrogance that people have to be putting that crap out there, to be like, And they're obviously influencing the game because they have aimbot on and they're locking on to the person through the wall, and they're following them until they get around that corner, and then they just blast the mess out of them. We've seen some really bad stuff in PUBG as well,
Yep.
It's not as bad as it was, but like I was on Sandhawk, guy was on Alpha's mountain, and I got sniped all the way at Bravo. Like,
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing is right now they're working on the training phase. They're looking for people that are developers and people that can help the project. If you go to the video, they can kind of get you in the Discord, and you can see if you're capable of this stuff, can you help them and help save FPS gaming for everybody. So it's kind of one of those things. One of the things that they found when starting this is they found they're not actually the first people to do this, and they found that they actually have another service that's already doing this and already working for people, and they won't say who and for what and whatever, but pretty interesting stuff that they're out there. And even on top of that, going back to 2017, Valve was talking about using AI and their VAC system being a little bit along the line of training and detection on some of that stuff. So interesting stuff that's already been going on in the background. So we covered it, how many podcasts ago about, is FPS gaming done, when you had a camera and you don't have the hacks running locally on your computer, and you have a camera that's feeding into, and you can do this right now. You can play it on your Xbox. You can play it on your Xbox, your PlayStation, you name it, whatever you have, and it's just looking at the screen and enhancing your aim by using inputs and whatever, by actually just looking and identifying things on your screen, kind of like Superhuman. So they're already out there, but that stuff's hard to detect. But what they're talking about on AI and some of this stuff is that they can really profile you, and they can profile if it's a player or a computer, and basically they can build a profile of you, of a biometric signature that says, hey, this is Wild Twins fan playing, and it's like personally identifiable. And how they're saying how hardware and stuff like that is not needed. We got a second clip here. They just say it so much better than I do. Let's roll the second clip.
Better.
2 hours is to create the player profile.
For what we call identity photos.
What they're talking about is a biometric profile, a profile as distinguishable as your thumbprint or your face.
So this will need the baseline of 2 hours because it's unique to each and every one of us as gamers.
On how you play the game. This means that once you get banned, it's not as simple as creating another account. If you create another account, the AI detects your biometric profile. Every account you make will be banned. There's no hardware ID, it's you. You will be permanently banned from the game, with no chance of ever playing it again.
We're fairly confident that some things are about to change.
Wow. You're muted.
So it's kind of crazy how they're saying like they're gonna have like some sort of biometric system to be able to tell. Like, I don't know how they're gonna be able to do that unless it's something like play style. Like what's your play style? Because really everybody, like their twitchiness or their reaction time, or I'm sure there's common patterns that you can look at when you're playing a game, or when you're looking through a bunch of games from a specific person. They tend to follow kind of, there's certain tendencies that they might seem to follow. Yep. So that could be how they're going to train this AI to recognize, like, oh, this is Wild playing this game. He just created this account. It's a brand new account for a brand new game, but we know it's Wild playing because of he usually when the game starts, he usually runs to the 30 degrees to the right, or he usually runs 15 degrees to the left, or he mainly like if it's a new Call of Duty game, he mainly only plays search and destroy. So we know based on factors A, B, C, D, E, and F that this has to be Wild Twins fan.
Yeah, and so they've said that even up to a year ago, they were able to like biometrically profile like CS:GO pros, and to be enough that, because part of the reason and part of the things that really piss people off is smurfing, where you are a pro or a high level player and you get a new account, and then you come in and you just trounce on the noobs, right? So, we've talked about skill-based matchmaking. That's kind of what it is. And there's ups and there's downs to it, but one of the reasons it exists in the first place is to give the new users a little bit of time to get their feet wet, get used to things without just getting frustrated and just absolutely shit on, during the game every time they go into the game. So, people leave games for that. People don't find that fun and interesting, but, there always has to be a element of challenge to a game and an element of success, or people are just not going to play it. So that's kind of where the skill-based matchmaking comes in, and that's where they're talking about that they can use AI to detect Smurf accounts and stuff like that. So that it's pretty amazing stuff. So as of right now, it's really developing, and it looks like people are picking up on it. The one cheat, the one anti cheat is this AnyBrain, and I believe they're like a Portuguese company or something like that, and they're working hard to make their product available, and then they're saying it can be available for mobile, console, you name it, whatever you got, they can train it and they can make it work for your product or whatever. So are the big companies are the companies going to step up and pay for these services? That's the other part. So it's just it's interesting to think when it's still going to probably always be a cat and mouse game, but it's going to be harder and harder. And right now, the AI and the people using the AI aiming and stuff, man, I tell you what, I can't tell aim wise. I don't think if people are, cheating other than, you're seeing too many headshots and on a player that doesn't look that good when you're watching them play. It just feels wrong. And so I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of tracing through walls on COD lately. And it's pretty crazy when they say that they think 1 in 3 gamers could be cheating or is cheating. And they're both very confident in that number. And that blows my fucking mind that many people are cheating.
Yeah, I mean, it's really bad. Like, I, I I'm sure we all miss the simple days of like GoldenEye 007 or like Conker's Bad Fur Day, or some of the old school FPS games that really got us into first person shooter. But as technology has progressed, and while you were talking, Waldo actually makes their source code publicly available because it is an open source project. I was actually just kind of looking through some of the source code, and it's really interesting to kind of read through the code and see exactly what they're doing and how they're trying to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. This could be a project as a developer myself that I could be vested in and have go in and maybe help them do some contributions to it, right? Maybe there's something that I know with the deep learning and the AI, the visual training models and stuff, because I have worked with Eclipse, who is kind of a sponsor to our podcast, which you'll hear about here shortly. I've helped them train their AI models. I've helped them train their models so that they can create more accurate clips for their platform. And I believe I can help this platform for the benefit of all of us, because at heart, regardless of what gamer you are, Wildy and I are both mainly first-person shooters. We both dabble in the racing game industry as well. I'm a Need for Speed kind of guy. Wild has his
And
whole
that's what
racing sim setup.
that's the other thing they said. This works for everything. It works for racing. It works for golf. For
MOBAs.
football, soccer, whatever, FIFA, all the games. It can work for any of that stuff because it's detecting players and it's detecting AI, and it can right now the biometrics take a bit of time to get an individual profile, but it can be done. And the other thing is they can go back to footage that people have and use that to say, hey, this guy was doing it back in 2015. So there's immense power in this, and it's kind of ripping the veil off, I think, of the AI right now, and that's good. It's still always going to be a cat and mouse game, I'm sure, but as they get better, the AI, they'll get better at detecting it, and
That's what it's all
onwards it
about.
goes. Yep.
That's what it's all about. It's all about the training and
But
stuff.
man,
But
if you could break it down from 1 and 3, it's pretty crazy. And they said that even like up to 20% are real easy, basically, for them to identify. And that last 10% is going to be tougher, but it's not undoable. And so that might depend a little bit on your stake or gosh, I'm sorry, but if my COD subscription included additional money that I would have to pay to get quality matches, I might be in there. I might be paying for that. And that's a little bit about CS:GO and their trust factor. They're talking about that a little bit, and they can create kind of like a player profile, and right now is what their trust factor is, and they say based on how you play and what you do in things, they basically say you could be cheating on a scale of 1 to 5, like 1 being most likely they're cheating, a high confidence that they could be a cheater, based on tons of different factors. And then they can put you in these different tiers. And so what you end up in is maybe I would like to think I'm a number 5, this guy would never cheat. I mean, look how bad he is at times, whatever it is, this guy doesn't like cheaters. He reports cheaters, he talks smack about cheaters. This guy's a 5, and they're going to put me in a group of other people that are just not cheaters. So that's a little bit kind of what you can do with some of this stuff is maybe you can't 100% some of this stuff. They think they can, but you can get you into a pool of gamers that are highly unlikely to cheat. And that's a big step for me because you can see it in COD when you go on when we group up and we get a big party and we're running together and we are just winning every game. It seems like eventually, like they kind of like skill-based matchmaking, they ramp you up to like harder and harder and harder matches as you go and harder opponents. And eventually you get next to a team and they are just, you're like, they gotta be hacking. Like this guy pre-aimed this guy through the wall and shot him the second he popped out when he shouldn't have known he was there. So there's a lot of potential there, even just if it's to kind of weed out some of the more suspect players. So it's one of those things, guys. I wanted to bring this to you guys and talk about it this week. We have more on this topic, but we're not going to beat you up anymore on this week. One of those things, you can reach out to us if you want to know more. Check out the videos. Check out our social media. We'll post and share these videos so you can come see them yourself. Subscribe to them. Support these guys. Let's get something going for the FPS community.
And be sure to keep up with our blog. We do have a blog post coming out on this particular subject, and we'll also include the video in that blog, as well as links to AnyBrain and Waldo Vision, so you can start contributing to the community as well, and just trying to rid our community, our lovely gaming toxic community of cheaters.
Right.
So are you guys tired of spending hours editing your gaming videos? Let Eclipse.gg do the work for you. With their automatic AI video clipping platform, you can easily create highlight reels of your best gaming moments. Simply upload your video and let Eclipse.gg do the rest. Save time and increase engagement by sharing short, action-packed clips on social media. Join the gaming elite and try elite.gg today by visiting eclipsegg.agamingmoment.com. Join our Discord and let us know that you signed up, and we'll get you a 7-day trial of the premium membership. Let me reread that. Let me
fix let me fix this one.
Yeah. So guys, are you tired of spending hours editing your gaming videos? Let Eclipse.gg do the work for you. With their automatic AI video clipping platform, you can easily create highlight reels of your best gaming moments. Simply upload your video and let Eclipse.gg do the rest. Save time and increase engagement by sharing short, action-packed clips on your social media. Join the gaming elite and try Eclipse.gg today by visiting eclipsegg.agamingmoment.com. Join our Discord and let us know that you've signed up, and we'll get you a 7-day trial of the premium tier membership. So while you brought this to my attention today. I know us as a duo here, and even our newly formed quartet with Nell and Kermit. We're not really Fortnite people, but you brought this to my attention. This is something really cool that Epic and Unreal Engine is kind of doing, and they're bringing together what's called the Unreal Editor for Fortnite, or the UEFN for short.
Yeah, so this is really a cool little program.
Yeah, so what it is, guys, it's a new PC application that allows developers to design, develop, and publish games and experiences directly into Fortnite. And it provides many powerful tools and workflows, including custom asset importing, modeling, materials, visual effects, sequencer, and a control rig, which can be used to produce and publish games and experiences. So essentially what you can do is you can kind of build your own mini games that can then be imported into Fortnite. And I think it's a really good introduction, and I think this is the end goal of it. They haven't come out and explicitly said this, but like, we need more developers in the industry, especially like modeling developers and gaming developers and stuff like that. All these Fortnite kids that were playing Fortnite, 5-6 years ago, are starting to get a little bit older now. They're starting to try to figure out what the hell it is that they want to do in life, but they're still interested in Fortnite because it's been with them since they were a kid. Now they're trying to entice them, like, oh, we're giving you the ability to build your own stuff for Fortnite, figure it out, and then, if you build something great, we're going to hire you.
I think it's really neat too. This is, to me, it's almost even a little bit like Roblox, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a step up from Roblox. Like, you can, I'm not a Roblox fan, but actually I've seen some really cool stuff, and we'll have to cover that another week. Roblox
and Minecraft
kinda does some stuff. I've seen a Roblox that plays like Call of Duty, and it plays great. And it looks like it's fun, but this is giving people, the ability to create in-game new experiences, and now they can monetize it. So if you create something that's successful and is getting people to play it and stuff, there's a 40% revenue split. It's 40-60. You get 40, they get 60. That's not too bad of a deal, considered you didn't pay for anything else, and they're kind of hosting it for you. So I don't think a 40%, payday out of that's a bad deal. But man, could you think if you were 12 or 14 or 16 and you were really into Fortnite and you thought, man, I'm going to make this crazy game, and all of a sudden it pops off and goes viral? You can end up with life-changing money.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's, and like, now you're going to be, companies be like, hey, come work for us, or go get your degree, or hey, we'll pay you for the degree. You never know, you don't know when your concept's going to pop off. I mean, you had Brendan with PUBG inspired, DayZ mod that morphed into a whole genre of gaming.
Literally,
who would have ever expected that? So you never know what can come of this, and it's really cool that they're giving people the ability to create new games and create stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of people whining about, Fortnite hasn't done anything cool lately. There you go. Now is your time to step up, and you can get 40% out of this. So
they're basically saying, okay, what we're putting out's not good enough for you. Here's the tools to do it yourself. If you can create something better, do it.
Although you do have to be 18 and have an account that's over 90 days old to actually be eligible for payment. But whatever. I guess my kid's me. Yeah, so
you got to be eligible to work, right?
Yeah, I guess so. There's some of that, and it's pretty neat. Pretty neat concept. We've seen Fortnite already kind of pushing the envelope a little bit, and with music concert events, we've covered those in the past. I just think this is a great way. If you're an enthusiast and you liked Fortnite, or if sounds like something that you'd like to get your hands on, it's a better version of Roblox, where you could go out and create something that people want to play and make money on it.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing here is the revenue sharing. If I'm being honest, because 40% is quite a bit. I mean, if somebody if you're putting it out there for like a $10 thing for a mod, you're making $4. You get 10,000 people on there. That's $40,000 in your pocket right there, and it could be something that you built over a weekend.
Right, with nothing more invested on your end than time,
Mhm.
which isn't free, but you're not buying the big computers, you're not paying a development team, it could be even a little goofy little game that I, there's a lot of potential there. So I just think it's neat, and I'm waiting to see, waiting to see the first Fortnite, you know, editor millionaire popping off. So we'll watch for it.
What is funny here though, Wild, is the 40% figure is kind of interesting because Epic has been embroiled in a lawsuit with Apple for years, alleging that the App Store maker is anti-competitive as it takes 30% of all in-app purchases. So they're charging more than what like Apple is charging developers.
But they're providing the tool at no
Fair enough.
cost. We'll
Fair
call it.
enough.
So I mean, other than Apple being like, we didn't do anything other than force this person to be on our environment and force them to be able to buy it and force them to buy it through our method. You know, that's like holding a gun to someone's head and saying, "You want to buy this, don't you?" As opposed to, here's the tools to buy it, but you can only keep 40% of it. Give a fishing rod to a kid, and he can keep 4 of the 10 fish he catches. Yeah,
I'm interested in this, but depending on how it all shakes out, we'll see what kind of like ecosystem that this creates and see what kind of issues people start to have with it. Because eventually somebody's gonna like pop off and go viral, and they're gonna be like, "Well, 40% is not enough," and they're gonna end up trying to say something. But on our next,
the background you can earn from that, can catapult them. So yeah, but I agree with you.
Yeah, fair enough. Wild, our next topic that we're going to go over is probably a bigger topic than what we're making it here on the podcast. It's actually a really big topic, and I think I'm going to do a really big blog post on this because this affects a lot, or could potentially affect a lot of people. Steam is killing their Windows 7 and Windows 8 support. So if you're running Steam on a Windows 7 or Windows 8 computer or Windows 8.1, Steam users will need to upgrade their operating system to Windows 10 or later in order to continue using the platform, which could be a significant inconvenience for users who are attached to their current operating system. Or, if you have a potato computer and the only thing you play is CS:GO and it plays just fine on your Windows 7 or Windows 8 computer with your GTX 540 graphics card that you've had for the last 15 years.
RuneScape.
Yeah, RuneScape. There you go. I mean, them taking away this support could be detrimental to their business.
I don't know. We're talking 1.3% of PC gaming right now that are running Windows 7, 8 versions of 7 and 8. So you're not you're not affecting that many people. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. But it is a big deal. There's some people tied to it, and I'm not sure what reasons people have to be tied to these anymore. For me, the reason to not be tied to these is security.
Mm-hmm.
These are not updated. They're not safe to use.
I think
Windows 10 and 11 are free, if not virtually free. You could probably find free ways to get them. You can run an unlicensed version for free that's still safe and safe.
You didn't hear that from us. You didn't hear that from us.
No. Yes, you can. You can go on to Microsoft. You can download it, and you can get a trial version of it to work on your computer without paying for the license key. And they kind of neutered it a little bit, but it's legitimate, and they allow you to do that. I think they want you to buy a key at
Yeah,
some point. But
you don't get any security updates is the thing, if you're running an unlicensed version.
okay, well then you'd have to, yeah, but it's still better, even
You can
if
go to
you
eBay.
updated it. Yeah,
You can go to eBay and find keys for like $1 or $2 or
yeah.
$10 or what have you. You don't have to go buy the $150
There's
subscription.
some gray market keys out there. You can find them on some of the key websites. You know, it's up to you. I've used them in the past without a problem. So
Yeah, me too.
you know, but so it is what it is. I think you're better off. At worst, the $100 you'd pay to buy the full legit version at Best Buy or Micro Center or wherever, would still be well served if you got hacked. So
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
consider that. You know, it's going to cost you more than $100 to unfuck your bank account.
Yeah, so this move by Steam also raises questions about the broader issues of software compatibility and the challenges faced by developers in supporting multiple platforms and operating systems. So, as new technologies and features are introduced, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain support for older systems and hardware. So, they're basically doing their game providers a service saying, "Hey, you only have to support these OSs. You don't have to support legacy OSs." And I believe Windows 7 is now end of life anyway, so they're not Microsoft's not actually pushing out updates to that. And I think Windows 8 and 8.1 end of life is in like 2024 if it's not already.
And that's when this actually comes into effect. I believe it's actually 2024. January 2024, I think they're going to drop that. Yeah. So that's end of life on Windows 8, I think is what it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Windows 8 support per Microsoft. Windows 8 ended on January 12th, 2016, and Windows support for Windows 8.1 ended January 10th of this year, 2023.
Yeah.
So 8.1 just ended their support. So it does make sense now, because I didn't know that prior to going through this segment. It does make sense now that they're killing the support. If Microsoft's killing the support for these particular operating systems, why should I support it? And as a developer myself, when I'm building websites and web applications, if a browser version is end of life, like if you're using Chrome 7 and Chrome's on like 68 or 69 right now, I'm not building backwards compatible stuff for your Chrome version. Or if you're using Microsoft, if you're using Internet Explorer, I was about to say Microsoft Edge. If you're using Internet Explorer, I'm not building compatibility for Internet Explorer because they don't work on Internet Explorer anymore. It's wet. It's Edge now. So, you know, I'm not building applications for legacy browsers either. So,
All right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and I just wanted to mention real quick, I run Windows. I still have Windows 10 on my laptop. I'm running Windows 11 on my desktop. I don't have problems with either one.
Same.
So,
Same.
In fact, I don't know why I haven't pushed my laptop to 11 yet. Just scared of it, I guess, a little bit. But
if you're like me, you're lazy.
There has been zero downside to me moving to Windows 11, and there's probably upsides that I'm unaware of, and there's probably some downsides, you know, here and there. But it is what it is, and security is my biggest issue. Even though I don't do a lot for my computer, if you guys are on 7 or 8 for whatever reason, just take the step, move up.
Buy a new computer if you can, because that probably means you're on legacy hardware as well.
Probably time to look at upgrading other things too.
So while
moving on, we're going to cover another big story. Take-Two acquiring mobile game subscription service Game Club. So talking a little bit about this. This might be kind of presenting themselves to battle a little bit more with, you know, not only just Apple and Google Play Store, but, you know, Microsoft's new acquisition of some of the bigger companies. But this Take-Two, they've been making some moves, and they've bought Zynga here last year, and Zynga's a pretty big game company, mobile. And this game club kind of opens the door for them. I think game club hasn't been doing real well from what I've noticed. Their games are kind of lackluster, but I think right now they're not really buying. They're buying the concept of selling a subscription so you can play all sorts of games without ads and stuff on your phone. Because again, nothing I hate more than ads. So I kind of like this and a new competition to bring it in there. And this is still kind of battling with Game Pass because again, I got to play most of these games on my iPhone right now with Game Pass. So this gives me some mobile games. So, Dave, you got
So
to
what?
take on this?
Yeah, Wild. I'm sensing a theme here. I think like 3 out of the last 4 podcast episodes that we've recorded, we've talked about mobile gaming. What is what does that tell you? That tells you that mobile gaming is taking over the entire gaming industry right now. And I think it's the fact that, us millennials, some of us Gen Z, some of the Gen Zers as they're getting older now, our kids, like I can tell you myself, and you can probably speak to it as well. When our kids are bored and we're at a restaurant or we're in the car, what do when we don't want to deal with the kids? We give them a phone and we let them play games on the phone. You can play Minecraft on the phone. You can play. Where do you think most kids play Roblox? Most kids play Roblox on their tablets or on their parents' phone. Yep. Zynga. I play Zynga poker on kind of the daily basis. When I'm sitting on the pooper and doing my business, I'm on Zynga poker. If I'm in a waiting room, doing whatever, I'm playing Zynga poker. Tonight when I was at dinner, while I was waiting on my food to come out, I was playing Zynga poker. So that tells you like there's a huge commitment with a lot of major corporations. Like Take-Two is not a small business. Let's put that out there. Take-Two is a huge business. You have Microsoft that, through the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, they are getting King Games, so they're getting one of the biggest mobile game developers. PUBG Mobile is huge everywhere in the world. I think COD Mobile is huge everywhere in the world. I'm sensing a bit of kind of an industry shift in the gaming industry where people are starting to move away from like the console model and they want to go to the portable model.
Well, quite frankly, it's as soft. Well, quite frankly, as hardware develops, as cell phones develop and get newer models and such, they're more capable and they can play a lot more of the stuff. And there's a lot of the world that's not going to still have access to consoles or gaming PCs or if you can even afford such things. So, but most people are going to be able to afford a phone, and so it's just pure numbers here. You can get the biggest audience on mobile that you could get on any game because everyone seems like everyone these days has a mobile device, anywhere. So it makes sense, and they don't have to make a lot of money from each individual person. If they make a little money from a lot of people, they'll do well. So it's just another story to kind of watch. We always talk about Game Pass Ultimate and Microsoft's Game Pass and how captivating that is. And so this is just a little piece of that. Kind of plays in the same thing. And we'll keep an eye on this because it's a big story. Mobile gaming's big. I'm still waiting to find some mobile games that I really like. I'm not hooked on anything. Again, the only thing I really play game wise is Pokemon, and I'm a pretty casual player at that. A couple times a week, if that. So
For me, the most interesting part of this story is it's an undisclosed sum of the acquisition. Like we don't know how much they're purchasing Game Club for, which basically begs to say it questions the value of Game Club and the potential return on investment for Take-Two, right? We don't know how much they're actually buying Game Club for. So it could be for Take-Two, because as you said, Game Club has been kind of struggling. It could be a power play, like it could be one of those risk versus reward thing. Like if they're buying it for a couple million, like, you know, maybe 10 million, and they feel like they can get 20 million off of it, that's a win for them.
Yeah, I am hoping that. I honestly think Game Club is struggling. Their website doesn't really work. So
Putting in my resume now. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I think they got it. I think they got it for a song, but again, I don't think it was the inherent value of Game Club. They bought it for the potential of what it can do and what they've been
And what they
able
can
to do.
integrate, yeah.
If you can integrate, you know, let's call it top class games like Zynga games into it, it's probably going to be a lot more desirable for people. So, just again, we're going to just keep an eye on it and see where that takes us.
Now to move on to something that pisses me off as an American.
Yep.
So and this is what, and let me just get this out. The FBI has paid tens of thousands of dollars for net flow data collected in bulk by a private company called Team Cymeru, which provides threat intelligence to ISPs in exchange for access to this data. The fucking government, man. Like they're gonna find a way to get your information. Like they're gonna find a way to get your information.
Yep. And part of the reason I brought this story to light is just because you talk about everything you're doing online is online, and everyone is selling you. How many times do you think you got sold today? Who knows? You know, who's paying for it, who's buying it, who's selling it, what they're selling, what they're saying. You don't have that control. And so part of my just the highlight of this topic is everyone is buying and selling you. And I'm just trying to bring light to the subject that we need to be in charge of our digital profile. I think there needs to be laws and set forth and guidelines and limits and enforceable government. I don't know.
Yeah.
Watch guard. I don't know what you want to call it. That you know, they can't just have everything. They can't just. I don't know, man. You watch the stories, and cops are getting access to Ring cameras footage without subpoenas, without. They're just asking, and they're just handing them over, like no warrants, no nothing. They just hand it right over to them, and the privacy in this country, I think, is at under severe attack at all times. And so that's just kind of why I wanted to bring this one up.
Yeah, in case you guys don't know, like in case you're asking, well, what the hell is net flow data? Basically, net flow data creates a picture of traffic volume and flow across the network. It includes information about which server communicated with another, which is typically only available to the server owner or the ISP carrying the traffic. I think the big thing here is like Senator Ron Wyden called for transparency from the FBI about what data it has purchased about Americans' internet browsing histories, and has proposed the Fourth Amendment is not for sale act to ban the purchase of this kind of private data. So there are people in higher parts of the government that are against this. They do feel like this is a breach of privacy as an American. And, you know, they're probably going to counter back with the Patriot Act and all this other stuff. But the FBI has also bought other types of data from the commercial sector, including American smartphone location data. So they're tracking, regardless of what you think or feel, just know that they are tracking you. They know that you looked at Pornhub on August 27th at 3 a.m. in the morning, and they knew that your wife was in New York while you were in Florida. and that your wife had John Doe over at her house, at your house, while you were in Florida, while you were watching Pornhub. You know, they know all this stuff. Wow, wow, wow. But like, I'm against it, but you know, I'm just a lowly guy. What am I going to do? What can I do to change it?
We can
I
all
highly
do something together.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
You know.
I have my reservations, but yeah,
Well,
just
I mean,
this is more of just like a public service announcement, guys. Just know and be careful. You know what you guys do. There's somebody always watching. There, the optics of it are they're trying to catch hackers. But you know, if you do something wrong, if you walk across the street wrong, they're gonna find every website that you probably shouldn't have gone to, or they're gonna bring every little thing that you've ever done to light. If you know you ever get in trouble for, like I said, just jaywalking.
again, it feels a little bit like Batman tapping into everyone's cell phone and was it Jarvis, or I don't even remember what it was called, or
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called either.
yeah, I don't remember what it's called either. But you know, Jarvis is Iron Man, but whatever. So, anyways, just out there, just be aware, and watch the legislation, guys, and you know, consider supporting legislation to protect, you know, yourselves, whether you're in the U.S. or not. You know, Canada, wherever. You know, actually, the European Union seems to be a lot stronger at a lot of things. California kind of seems to be leading the way in some of this stuff about, you know, not selling your data.
Surprisingly,
you know, surprisingly. So it can be done. It just, again, it's just a little bit about letting you guys know. So we'll move on from that. And then
so Wild,
yep.
so Wild, another company is reportedly shutting down their metaverse division. Not only is Meta pulling back on their metaverse division, but it looks like Disney is too. And
yeah, so
go ahead.
Yeah, this is a big news. And this just broke that Disney is reportedly shutting down its metaverse division. Man, it's one of those things, man. I've seen Disney do some things, and I actually think this is a little bit nutty, because I actually believe that Disney is one of the real businesses that could really make it in the metaverse. Like that is like the, for me, that's like magic, right? Part of Disney's magic, right? It could be the metaverse and being in. Could you imagine being like a metaverse Fantasia version?
Or cars? Think cars, planes. You get to ride in like Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
You Disney owns Marvel, so you can be part of like the Avengers. You can be fighting with the Avengers. You could be in Star Wars. You could be, you know, they already make VR games with the lightsabers and stuff. But damn it, you can get good ones, right? You can be carrying the chosen child. You could be the Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate.
Gosh, you know, Disney made a version, and I'm slipping up at the moment to think about it, but it was for Xbox, and it was like you had your little figures, and what was it called? I can't remember. And you basically put them on the portal, and then you could play like Disney Sandbox, and it was a incredible game for myself and the kids to play. You could build, like, it was like Roblox, like Disney Infinity. That's what it is. And you could build these worlds, and they made 2 different versions of it, and they just like pulled the plug on it one day, and it's like done. And I don't get it, because it was amazing.
I know why.
Play like your, what? Okay, tell me.
So my oldest son was really big into this because it was on the Wii U. He had it for the Wii U. It was on other consoles as well, but he specifically had it for the Wii U. The issue, or the fundamental flaw with that particular game, is you had to buy the little action figures to go with it. Like when you bought the game, you got like one, but there was like 7. There was like 7 that per game, and in order to play the full game, you had to buy these $20 or $30 little action figures that you sat down on this little pad to play the game. So you're buying the game for $60. Then you got to go and buy the little figures for $30 a pop. So by
They
the time,
weren't 30, they were 10 to 15, I think.
okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but still,
But anyways,
you know, you're paying 50 to $60 for the game. Then you got to go buy to play the full game to unlock all the stories. You got to go spend let's go on the low end and say $10. If there's 6 other action little figurines that you got to buy, that's an additional $60 for the game to unlock content that you already bought. Technically, so
yeah.
so I
maybe
think
it
that
a
was
little
that
nickel
was
and dime heavy on some of that stuff, and maybe they could have just. I mean, they could have just fixed that too by allowing you to buy a digital version and not the character. And I mean, there's things they could have done there, but still, just the imagination. To me, Disney's always been a fantastic imagination,
storytelling.
Storytelling, story making, fantasy. And it just seems like, man, the metaverse was actually just right for this, but apparently Disney disagrees. So right now they're abandoning their ambitions for now. They said it's not really for good, but they say a little bit of this could have a little bit in part because Bob Iger has returned as the CEO to replace Chapek that was in there, and they just might have different visions. They might just have different visions of the future. So it's hard, but I hate to see it.
So the good news is Iger did show that he also sees a future in the metaverse when he joined the board. So the good news is Iger did show that he sees a future in the metaverse when he joined the board of an animated avatar startup, but he may have another strategy in mind here with Disney. It's probably going to take some time before we hear it. Disney's been under pressure from investors to implement serious cost-cutting measures, and it previously announced that it was going to lay off 7,000 employees. And according to TechCrunch, it will have 3 rounds of layoffs, with the first one taking place pretty much this week. When you hear the podcast, it was it was basically last week when we a week from when we released the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's tough times in the tech industry. You know, we like I said, we saw Meta basically shut down their metaverse stuff.
Yep.
There's more people are crowding around the AI. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, more companies are tightening their belts post pandemic. The way the economy is, and maybe they're just not seeing the sales in VR setups, or they're not seeing the rate of return that they'd hope to see.
I think that's part of it. I think really what you're talking to me, it's rate of return, and I think right now to build the metaverse is going to be costly, and I don't think Disney wants to foot that bill, but they might come back and ride the wagon if it's cheap enough and profitable enough. So we'll see.
So while something scary here, I think we've talked about this before because it is a follow-up. Yeah, so we've talked about Elon Musk's Neuralink.
Yep.
And how we think it's scary. Like, you can transmit everything about you. Like, everything about you is going to be stored somewhere on a server. But now Elon Musk is seeking a partner for clinical trials. Like, we're at the clinical trial phase. Like, this is kind of scary to me.
It's scary, but think of the potential. Like, maybe for your average able-bodied person, not huge. But think about it when you're paralyzed or if you're blind. And some of the potential things you could do if you lost a limb and now you're able to control your mechanical finger now or your arm like you would just thinking about it before. So I think that's kind of cool. Like it's always scary the turning
there's give and take
the human being into a robot, but there's a give and take and quite frankly, I mean, for me, I see the biggest thing just being, some of those treating the people that could use it.
I think
I
for
don't know if
me, I think for me, I think if the biggest selling point is my family has a history of cancer running through it. You know,
Yep.
Wild, that I lost my mom. I lost my mom to cancer. Um, my grandpa's been battling cancer in his liver for the past few months. His mother, we believe, passed away from cancer. She had a big brain tumor. So there's apparently, a string of cancer that goes through my family. So I think for
Yep.
me, the big benefit here would be faster, earlier detection of certain things.
Yep.
Uh, such things as cancer, or maybe medical conditions that are acute medical conditions that are hard to find, like maybe heart arrhythmia, in your case, Wild, right?
Yep.
Like, detecting
Yep.
heart conditions before you actually go to the doctor, or you get a notification on your phone that says, hey, you have you were suffering an irregular heartbeat at this time, you might need to go to the
Yep.
doctor and get this checked up. Or hey, you're running a fever, things like that. Or you have whatever. I think that's kind of the biggest benefit. But again, with these good things, there's an equal or greater bad thing that could potentially happen.
Yeah. And I mean, you think about it too. Like, what about the help? If I've fallen, I can't get up. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of potential here, and I'm going to look at the positives right now. Of course, you can turn anything into a negative, but
They're gonna take my damn
Elon's
information.
but Elon's visions to make this Neuralink brain chip is to make it as common as laser eye surgery in the future, and you know maybe there's a potential, there's a use case for a lot of people for this, and I am not opposed to it per se. I think it could definitely be life changing for people, and who am I to say? Maybe I could say if I want it or not, but I'm not going to say that so and so can't have it if he thinks it's going to help him. So
I think for most people, it's safety concerns. The safety concerns raised by the FDA regarding Neuralink's previous application for human trials
yeah,
underscores the importance of careful and thorough testing of new technologies, especially those involving invasive procedures on the brain. As such, we must, or we want to try to see progress in this field, or as much as we want to see progress in this field, it's crucial to ensure that safety does remain the top priority. Like, we're trying to, like, the goal is to help people, not fuck their shit
yeah,
up.
yeah, right.
They go in talking like me and you right now. They come out talking, well, you don't love me today if I have a hamburger today.
Yeah,
Please don't take that the wrong way, guys. But you don't want to go in there. It's like if you're listening to these medicines and they go through that really fast spiel at the end, side effects include this, and the side effects are worse than what you got going on. You might want to reevaluate. Is this something I want to go through? Right. So
just the potential for data collection. Um, hopefully that was for you because your government has made it safe for you. You know what I mean? We were just talking about the, owning your data. But I think just the
That's how you
potential
treat.
of really cool stuff. I'm kind of into it.
So, guys, don't miss out on all the fun. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to join in on the conversation and catch a sneak peek of our latest episodes before they hit all major podcasting platforms. Plus, stay in the loop when we're streaming our podcast live so you can be the first to tune in. Trust us, you won't want to miss a minute of the action. So, while this is where we usually talk about the old social media area, and you actually found kind of I want to say it's an ironic TikTok because this is something that we do with our community all the time when we're playing
This
PUBG.
is
They're like, "How do I turn off the music?" You hit
this
F.
is a this is a top tier goal for me. I've got two people in the past doing this, two seasoned players that in the past doing this, but I will try this any given chance if I think I can get away with it.
So, guys, let's take a look at it real quick.
That's how you're going to treat me, huh, champs? Never seen this thing. Look at this. Switch on the siren. What is it? What's the hotkey? Shift E. That's how you're going to treat.
So good. So good. So, for the guys on the for you guys on the podcast, essentially he's talking to his chat, and he's playing on what the hell is that map called? Destin. Yeah, he's playing on Destin. There's a cop car on there, and chat is telling him, "Hey, turn on the sirens," because on the cop car, instead of a horn, it's a siren. But apparently, he thought it was like a different. He didn't understand that it was a different keybind for the horn, or the keybind for the horn and the siren is the same thing. So his chat tells him Shift E, which is not the normal hotkey for diving out of the car when you're driving, or getting out of the car when you're driving. But yeah, so he basically was going at speed, did that, and he basically exited the car. And when you exit the car going over a certain mile, I think it's 30 miles an hour or 30 kilometers an hour, it's basically an instant knock, or if you're running solos, it's an instant death. And then he just has this stupid fucking look on his face. Like, really, guys?
Yeah, nothing more fun than trolling the streamers, and Doc. And I feel like it's partly staged. Maybe it's not, but it's still a great clip. And I aspire and encourage you all to get out there and troll and get people on this stuff, because it's just fun. It's just fun. You can't always just play straight laced and have fun that way. So,
oh yeah.
But guys, if you run across tip, let me see. I think how it is.
How do you want to say it?
And so, hey, I actually got this sent to me by one of my buddies. I did not see this first. He sent it to me, and then I shared it. So I just want to tell you guys that you guys can do that too. And you guys can reach out to us on the social medias and send us clips like this. And we'll feature them in the podcast. You got an Instagram post. You got a tweet that's fucking popping off. You got a TikTok that's great. Send it to us at a gaming moment on any of the platforms. And we'll give her a look, and maybe we could feature your clip on the podcast and that. So I'll give a shout out to Ambitions for sending me that clip there. Again,
Dope.
he's on top of the memes for me, and gets them out to me. So
dope. So moving on to our question of the week, Wild. We talked about the Neuralink. We talked about kind of some of the hesitation, but we didn't talk about would we get it installed or not. Wild, would you install a Neuralink? And could a life-changing event change your position if you're not gonna?
I think as is right now, I'd be interested in it, just because I'm kind of a data freak. I like to know the data. Like, I have my smartwatch on, and I like to see how many hours I slept and how many steps I took and what my average heart rate is, and I just like the technology that gives me data, so I can see if things are trending and changing, and stuff like that in my life. So if you can do that with Neuralink, if you could get some data off it, that would be beneficial to my life. I would be interested in it. Now, if I lost a limb or something, that really changed that, a big car accident, and they say, hey, we can get you this robotic arm or whatever, and we install this Neuralink, and it's going to be almost like you didn't lose your arm. You'll be able to feel, you'll be able to touch, you'll be able to think.
That'd be interesting.
And
yeah.
do. It's like, what an amazing time this would be if you can do stuff like that. So, I take the potential downsides, at least from what we know right now, which, just safety. We don't know a lot because it's not real well tested. But I would fully on consider it. Day, how about you?
Given my family history and me losing my mom over something that could have been prevented, had she just gone to the doctor, really.
Yeah.
But the early detection of things like cancer increases your survivability greatly the earlier you catch it. So I think just based on that alone, I'd be more than willing to give it a try. I want to live to see my kids grow up. I want to live to see my kids become successful in some way, shape, or form. Whatever your definition of success is, I have my definition of success. I want to get old enough to see grandkids and potentially great grandkids. So, I think just based on that alone, I think that's where I would say yes. I'd be interested to do it. Now, the data freak in me, yes, that's another thing. But
Yep.
the conspiracy theorist part of me is like, nah, brah, nah. They're gonna get you. They're gonna shut you down. They don't have to shoot you or inject you. They'll be able to do a lethal injection without actually injecting you, man. They're out to get you, man. They're tracking you, man. They want to know when you're doing it, man.
So it was interesting. I was talking with Nell. Like, again, the podcast came out because Dagon and I stream. We game together, and we get in these conversations naturally, anyways. And so we were talking, and we were talking to just podcast the other day, and I was playing with Nell, and I was asking him, what about, like, when they insert that little chip in you, where you can use it to NFC, scan yourself in, then check yourself in, or stuff like that. Would you do that so you could authenticate your devices at a flick of your wrist, scanning over a pad? Would you go electively get a little NFT button installed into you so you could just wave it over things and pay for things, or whatever? Would you do
Yeah,
that,
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to remember the name of that movie. There's a movie that Justin Timberlake was in where, like on the bottom of their forearm, they had like a ticking clock, if you will, and based on that clock, told you how much time you had to live, and the currency was time, and you could transfer time to people. Like rich people had centuries to live. Like if they had like a ton of time, then they got younger or they didn't age. I don't remember the name of the movie off my head.
In Time.
Off the top of
Time.
okay. So, I feel like it could be something like that, which in my eyes would be kind of sketch. But, if you want to live forever, there you go.
Yeah, so we were talking about it. Nell was adamantly against it. I hate signing into websites, and I'd love something that's like secure, that couldn't be hacked or faked or whatever.
Well, I have
so.
on my work laptop. We have to use I have a MacBook Pro. We have to use the biometric scanners.
Yep.
For our two-factor authentication. They don't want us to use any codes or anything because you cannot steal somebody's password or anything when
Right.
when they got to log in with a biometric scanner, like your thumbprint or your fingerprint or what have you.
Yep.
So, I mean, in a sense, we're doing that already. We were doing that with the previous iterations of the iPhone before they came out with, I think it was the iPhone 12 or 13 or something like that when they got rid of it.
But Nella even brought up a good point there. What about deep fakes? Deep fakes could give you the potential down the road.
Not facial recognition. We're not talking facial recognition.
Okay, but I think there'll be, again, cat and mouse game, and there will be someone that comes along and finds a way to fool those systems into access. So, always interesting.
Yeah, let us know, guys. Let us know what your thoughts are on it. Would you be interested in getting a Neuralink installed? What's your position on it? So let us know. Follow us on our social medias and send us, send us that message. We'd love to hear from you. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. Unfortunately, E3 is not going to be a thing anymore, and that really sucks. But, we got to keep moving forward. Plus, we're going to keep an eye on how AI is going to continue to affect FPS games and gaming in general. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you want to take your support to the next level, head on over to our Patreon page to help us keep the podcast going strong. Also, show off your love for A Gaming Moment by checking out our timeless classic merch at merch.agamingmoment.com. And thanks again for listening in. And until next time, guys, keep grinding.